Finding your courage in times like this. Because, friends, the world is on fire. At least it feels that way for many of us. For some of us, it has always felt that way. On January 15th, President Joe Biden used his final presidential address from the Oval Office to deliver a warning to the American people. He proclaimed, and I quote this, "Today an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights, our freedoms, and a fair shot for everyone to get in." He warned us about the growing, unchecked, and dangerous concentration of wealth and power in the hands of the few at the expense of the many. He challenged us, friends, to disrupt what he called the tech-industrial complex, taking over our lives, impeding on our privacy, and buying control over our government. He called for us to protect the free press, to create reforms and safeguards to rein in the unethical actions of our termless Supreme Court justices. And he urged us to stand guard for freedom. In many ways, friends, his speech was historic. It was the first time a sitting U.S. president had uttered words of warning of an oligarchy takeover from the Oval Office. It is clear that President Biden saw the flames that were ravaging our communities and decided to sound the alarm. Perhaps too late. Because today, friends, our democracy is quickly being undone by a wannabe dictator and a corrupt oligarchy that cares only about accumulating more for themselves at the expense of we the people. What is clear, friends, is that the flames President Biden and many others warned us were coming are fully ablaze. Project 2025 is being implemented, and a tsunami is coming for our communities. Friends, our world is on fire. And as usual, the flames are not felt equally by us all. For the oligarchs fueling the corruption, the fire is like a warm fireplace on the cold winter's night. They embrace the flames, and they use the masses as fuel to keep the fire going. They are willing to bear the discomfort that comes with the excess heat caused by the chaos that they're brewing intentionally to attain their ultimate goal of more wealth, power, and dominance, no matter the cost to our collective well-being. Among them, friends, are the billionaire hedge fund investors and corporate executives who exploit people, hoard resources, and refuse to pay their fair share to contribute to our society. Among them, friends, are the tech bros who now own most of the media that we consume, who in their AI race are draining our lakes and reservoirs, polluting our communities, and leaving us with inflated energy bills, asking we the people to subsidize their wealth and their abundance. These billionaires invest a tremendous amount of resources to maintain their status and keep the flames of injustice moving. Friends, are funding the propaganda that tries to convince us that the fire is a good thing, and that any destruction caused by the chaos that they're brewing is necessary and is somebody else's fault. Let's be clear. These individuals have no allegiance to our country or any country. They see themselves as having more in common with the oligarchs of Russia and North Korea than we, the people, the American citizenry and populations. Friends, their only concern is for their personal wealth and power, and they are more than willing to throw us into the fire to attain it. But friends, one tier down is the wealthy elite who are largely able to shield themselves from the pain of the flames. These individuals have found ways to leverage our unjust world for their own economic gain. They are deeply tied to the status quo, and they work hard to maintain their positions of wealth and stability. They take actions that keep the flames of injustice going. They reap the benefits of the massive wealth inequality, and they see their interests as more aligned to the billionaires as they hope to one day become free. They live in exclusionary, ducked-off communities, often immune to the pain and struggle emerging from our unjust world. Let's be clear. Many of these people are in Congress right now. They're the folks in Congress that are co-conspiring with the billionaires and the so-called would-be dictator instead of regulating the impacts of their harm. They're the executives of hospital systems and corporations being paid to do the bidding of the empire. Our world is on fire. Below them are those clinging desperately to the middle class. For them, the fire presents itself as a maze of burning embers. Those living here must work tirelessly to avoid going up in flames, as the fragility of their current predicament leaves them overworked, overwhelmed, exhausted, and looking for ways to escape the crushing weight of trying to hang on. Today's middle class, unlike those of the past, is saddled with debt, as most of their lifestyle is financed through private loans, expensive lease agreements, costly mortgages, and high-interest student loans. They have little to no savings, and they struggle to keep up with the ever-rising costs of childcare, healthcare, housing, and more. As the oligarchs more fully take control of our nation, those living here among the heralded middle class will soon watch themselves slide farther and farther down the economic ladder. Not very far away is the working poor. This segment of our community is suffering in never-ending smog and smoke. Those living here have skin that is red and hot to touch as they hover dangerously close to the pit of the raging fire. A fire that is dangerous, volatile, uncontained, and all-consuming. These individuals struggle to breathe the smoke-filled air and teeter always on the edge of devastation. You see, the working poor often live above the federal poverty line, but below the line of stability. They operate outside of the boundaries of the soon-to-be-gone safety net programs like food stamps and subsidized housing, yet they are often unable to truly finance a stable life for themselves and their families. They find themselves constantly cornered into unimaginable decisions as they choose each day which necessities they can afford and which to delay. These individuals' friends are often stuck robbing Peter to pay Paul, or with high interest payday loans that keep them stuck in cycles of debt. The core of the fire is fueled by the least of these. It's fueled by the discarded, the displaced, the disenfranchised, and the exploited underclass. For them, friends, the fire rages always. It rages in those moments when economists boost full employment. It rages even when inflation is low and interest rates are favorable to consumers. It rages while the country at large celebrates economic recovery and prosperity. It rages always, and it consumes all in its path. This core, friends, is primarily our poor Black immigrant LGBTQ, formerly incarcerated and unhoused neighbors. They are the scapegoats that the oligarchs are using right now to evoke fear and blame as they try to divert our attention away from their people. Our world is on fire, friends. And the reality is, America has long fallen short of the markers of a great society. We are among few so-called developed countries that have not had the political will to invest in universal health care, paid family leave, universal or affordable child care, or high-quality infrastructure and transportation systems. In fact, much of the work of groups like UFA has centered on fighting for these important components of human dignity and collective well-being. And let's be clear, the same actors who have fought against us in years past are those fueling the flames of authoritarianism today. The names and the faces may have changed, but their quest for greed and dominance by any means necessary has persisted. And so what do we do? What do we do? In his book, Democracy Matters, the great philosopher, theologian, and political activist, Dr. Cornel West, implores us to summon our activistic energy. He writes, the basis of democratic leadership is ordinary citizens' desire to take back their country from the hands of corrupted, plutocratic, and imperial elites. This desire is predicated on an awakening among the populace from the seductive lie and comforting illusions that sedate them in a moral channeling of new political energy that constitutes a formidable threat to the status quo. Friends, the energy that constitutes a formidable threat to the status quo is people power. We, the people, must join together to challenge the authoritarian regime that is again threatening to take over our country. We, the people, must counter their pursuit of greed and dominance with an insistence on justice and love. We, the people, must do this. As the oligarchs leverage their power for the destruction of others, we must leverage our power for the collective good. While they concern themselves with advancing the interests of the few at the expense of the many, we must concern ourselves with advancing a beloved community, even if that means using our power to constrain the few who, if left unchecked, will work to harm the many. Friends, this is why Cuba is so important. Cuba, I believe, is the vehicle through which we activate our neighbors and pull them out of their selection. Cuba is the vehicle through which we organize ourselves, our resources, our voices, and our power to ensure that our local officials are not compromising and capitulating under the pressure of Donald Trump in our state house, which operates as his flunkies. And friends, this is no small feat. Y'all live here. We know our local elected officials sometimes seem to be more concerned with the needs of the corporations than they are with meeting the needs of the people. They will be bold only if no one on 4th Street opposes them. They will take action only when they have a nod of approval or disinterest from the corporations that run so much of our city. And so, friends, we need Cuba. We need Cuba because Nobody is coming to save us. If you find yourself wishing for another Martin Luther King Jr., Shirley Chisholm, Malcolm X, or even a moderate Barack Obama to return and lead us out of these flames of destruction, I have bad news for you. They ain't coming. No one is coming to save us. Our hope is riding on you. Our hope is riding on the single mother who brings her kids to the community meeting because even though she's tired, she's committed. It is riding on the college students who decided that they have a responsibility to use their privilege and their voice and their energy to organize their classmates into courageous direct action. It is riding on the grandmothers and the grandfathers who hold the wisdom and knowledge of past revolutions. Elders who are poised to pass that knowledge on to next generations. It is riding on the returned citizens who have experienced life under surveillance and militarization and who are committed to maintain their own and our collective freedom. It is riding on leaders like Josh Green, Samantha Searles, Pastor Steele Watkins, Mary Partey, Lenore Newman, who are relentless in their pursuit of love and justice. And it is riding on leaders like you in this room who refuse to shrink and hide. Leaders who know that our silence will not keep us safe. Our hope is riding on organizations like people who are made up of people and who work for the people. And so now more than ever, we need Kufa to be strong, to be powerful, bold, and courageous. And so, friends, I'm going to offer to you a charge. And that charge is for you to find your courage and lean in. And show up for real. Because if we are to stem the tide of authoritarianism and create a beloved community that we desire and deserve, we must be courageous and committed. What got us here won't get us where we need to go next. Because for the last 50 years, we have had the privilege of working for justice in a climate of relative safety. For most of us, the biggest threat to our lives has been tear gas and protest. We have not had to concern ourselves for the last 50 or so years with fears of lynching, execution, or the bombing of our homes. We have had well-resourced bail funds and access to a wide range of lawyers and sometimes the protection of police even when we're protesting against them. There are, of course, notable examples, but by and large, we have been able to navigate in a landscape of relative safety and sustained funding. But friends, the tide has changed. The police and the military are being weaponized against us. Protesting is being criminalized. Foundations are changing their priorities, which means money for the movement is drying up. The centers are being targeted by the FBI. Social justice organizations and leaders are being surveilled and attacked. The conditions under which the revolution must happen has changed. The cost is rising. And we know this. We know there is a cost to revolution. But friends, we must never forget that just as there is a cost to fighting for justice, there is a much greater cost to our complicity with our own oppression. Resistance is scary and hard, yes, but so is living under an oppressive and authoritarian regime. As one of my wisdom teachers, Sharonda Crone, taught me, we must choose our heart. And to do that, friends, we must find our courage. So I have learned that the strongest antidote to fear that keeps us from being courageous is faith. The fear that blocks us from courage can be dispelled by faith. Friends, it's not possible to do the work of revolution without being deeply rooted in a faith and committed to a deeper call within you. A faith that says that God is on the side of the oppressed in the fight for freedom, and that we are called to join God in His work. A faith that says that the empire does not get the last word. Some of y'all in church today. A faith that moves us from a place of self-preservation toward a commitment to a collective liberation. In the words of Dr. Ramana Kaminga, we must believe in the value and validity, the righteousness, victory, and significance of our struggle for liberation. In other words, we must have a faith in the righteousness and victory of our cause. We must have faith because faith feeds courage. The other thing that feeds courage, friends, is community. Now more than ever, we need community that goes beyond attending a meeting or signing up for an event here and there. We need community to share the load of the work and to share the cost of our courageous action. We need community to buffer the blowback that will inevitably come from our resistance to authoritarianism. We need community to care for one another in times of scarcity and corruption. We need community to remember the truth of who we are in a world that will continue to feed us lies. We need community to hold us accountable to our commitments to the struggle. We need community to remain courageous in the moments when the pressure is the greatest. In those moments, it is community that calls us to our faith and to our courage, reminding us that we are not lone soldiers. We are in this together. Kufa is that community for so many of us. And there are so many in our city and our region who need Kufa in their lives. People who need the Kufa community to help them find their courage and their hope. And so, friends, we have to find our courage. I want to leave you with the wise words of one of our most recent warrior ancestors, Mrs. Shada Shakur. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. I said it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Peace and blessings to you all.